Hi everyone, it's Monday at the Mystical Magical Mansion. I hope this finds you well and that all of you had a wonderful weekend and a great week. If this is the first time you're ever tuning into our channel, hello, my name is Kim. My husband Ryan and I bought an old 1910 mansion here in Omaha, Nebraska in the Gold Coast neighborhood, which is a beautiful area, a historic neighborhood here in the city, which is just filled with glorious old homes and beautiful architecture. And each week we share a little bit about our home, our antique finds, what we're redoing on the house, and just all kinds of different bits of our life. So last week I shared with all of you a bit of information and concern about a woman named Ella Mae Tucker from a cookbook that I had gotten at a flea market in Kansas City. And this weekend I went back to North Platte to my hometown for my class reunion, which very much means that I'm vintage and chippy and shabby chic just as much as the stuff that I bring home from there. But I did get some things that I'll share with you, and also something else that we have to talk about. It's pretty controversial. So anyway, stick around till later and you'll see that. If you have not watched last week's episode and the story of Ella Mae Tucker, please do that. Like, stop right now and go back so you'll understand the conversation I'm having now. But Ella Mae Tucker wrote a cookbook, this Dear Daughter book, which I'm guessing a whole lot of people had because several people sent me information and links and little ditties about Ella Mae Tucker and her husband, who was Byron, who the one who had to eat all of that weird stuff. So we know poor Byron had to swallow a lot of gross things for her recipe testing. But anywho, she was actually pretty prolific and I think a woman ahead of her times and very ambitious. So we like Ella Mae, we're just questioning some of her recipes. Check that out and then you'll kind of understand a little bit about what's going to happen later in this video. So while I was back in North Platte, I did get a gift that was left for me by my Aunt Iris. So shout out to Iris. Thank you. She is one of my sweet, wonderful angel people in my life. She is still living. She's the living earth angel. But she gave me something called a yard long picture. This is the yard long. And as you can see, it's a yard long. It's 36 inches long. Many of you may have seen these, and they also, you'll see them in this horizontal way too, and I'll show you some other clips of yard longs. But yard longs are something from around the 1900s to 1930s is typically when they were created, and this one actually is dated on the back as 1928. So she's very pretty in her pink dress. I'm very excited to get her up in one of the rooms. So thank you, Iris, for this vintage picture. So here's a little bit better view of the yard long picture. She's got a very sweet face with that very subtle little demure look and a gorgeous pink 1920s dress, which I would totally wear that lace dress. I love the little bows on the sleeve. Aren't those pretty? And she's got some cherry blossoms and a super cute hat. So I will definitely be putting this upstairs in one of our bedrooms, but I think this is just very sweet. So again, thank you to my Aunt Iris. I really, really love it. So historically, what I understand about yard longs is they first came into being in the early 1900s because of kind of those fisheye lenses, so they could take a big wide angle picture of, like, you'll see teams or classes or school pictures from, you know, like class of 1902, and so they could take a wide angle and get the whole group together. So those long narrow pictures started back then from sort of that perspective, and then the art was made into those long frames, and then the up and down vertical ones were used a lot in advertising. So you will see them with little calendars attached to the bottom, or sometimes there's like a company name, like by, you know, Nabisco flour or something. And so there's a lot of those, and I've got little shots of that just from the antique store that I was at earlier today. So let's take a look at what happened there. We're doing a little antique shopping at the Ashland Antique Mall, and they have some really great stuff out here today. I'm trying to find another cabinet for some glass storage, so like glass goblets, fancy glass, wine glasses, those kind of things for our dining room, but also just whatever else I happen to find. You know, it's always a good thing. It's always good to be looking. So this cabinet is kind of what I have in mind, but I think it's too tall. We have a sconce in that corner that is just going to be too high. This is sort of what I have in mind. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to fit the bill. Oh my gosh, look at this old children's toy car with the handbrake and everything. That's incredible. Got all 4 tires. Probably no real safety hazards here, I'm guessing. So here's another vintage yard long picture. So they do go for vertical or horizontal. So you'll see these with like puppies or fruit or things in that yard long style. Really like this tall wicker basket. This one might be going on my front porch or in my sunroom maybe with a plant. Here's a green basket, just exactly like the one I got at the auction. You've got $50 on this one. I think I spent like $2 on mine, so I think I got a deal. I'm thinking this one might be just right. It's actually it's not super tall, glass shelves. Actually would go really well with the mahogany wood that's in our dining room now. So, I don't know, this might be the one. So this is that white wicker basket that I showed you all at the cute booth that I got. So I did bring this home. It's in great condition. The wicker is all really sturdy and it's nice. So I'm going to put together a little arrangement here, and either this is going to go on my front porch, on our big beautiful porch, or in my sunroom. So here's a look at just what I've kind of put together there in that beautiful tall wicker basket. I really, really like it. I happen to have just a big tub of flowers that are seasonal things. These are kind of my summer and fall colors. There's my dog, of course, close by. But I think this is pretty. It'll just add a little pop of color. And again, I think I'll put it either on the front porch or in my sunroom. I think it looks really pretty here beside this gorgeous settee. So either here, or I'll put it on the front porch, but you guys vote. Tell me which room you think it looks better in. I think the flower colors match the rug perfectly. I think it kind of needs a set besides a magnificent settee like this, but you tell me what you think. All right, so here it is out on the front porch. So while I was back home at my parents' house, my mom gave me this beautiful gift, which was just a stack of old cookbooks. So this is the Sandhills cookbook from Purdom, Nebraska. It's got this very tattered plastic cover on it, but this came from my great-grandma who lived in Dunning, Nebraska, which is in the Sandhills. And I love that it's very old. It's from the Women's Fellowship of the United Church of Christ. And this is from 1974. So this is printed and published in 1974. So there's a poem about the Sandhills by Helen McCreath, which is very, very sweet. And there's just some little spots in here where my grandma has some things starred and, noted. And you can see there's like grease spots on the page. So I'm sure this is a cookbook that she would have used, which I think is just lovely. My great-grandma was a character. She ran a restaurant in Dunning and she had lots of opinions about lots of things, but just a sweet, sweet woman. So there are some of her recipe cards and notes in here. And then my mom also had cookbooks from my grandmother, my dad's mom. So this one's from Sutherland, Nebraska. So this is from 1971, which for some of you doesn't seem antique, but for some of you it might be. So anyway, this is my grandmother's, but more especially, this is a notebook that my grandma kept, and it's all in her handwriting. So when I started sitting down to look at this, I was just so touched that her handwriting is so beautiful, and she took the time to write out all of these recipes. And I don't know if she was copying them from other cookbooks or other friends who had given her recipes. just looking at all of the things that they made, New England pumpkin pie, caramel peanut butter pie. So I don't know if she made all of these things. There are some little things, or if she was putting together a cookbook for the church, or exactly what this is from. It maybe she was organizing it for something else, but it's just so sweet. And she has written beside of them, like, burn 1/2 of the sugar. Like, she's definitely her notes of some of these things that she did make. And instead of snowdrift, she's got this one, which is a shortening that they used a lot back then. She's converted this to butter. So I just felt so touched by this, and it's so sweet and such a beautiful connection. And then we get to some of these recipes, and then I think, what? Shredded cabbage, apple, and raisin salad. We're back to this? Then there's cakes, white fruit cake, sour cream spice cake. That was her mother's recipe, because she's got mother in parentheses. So this must have been my grandma Cox's, my great grandma Cox's, and then Fern, who was her sister, Neela. So all these people contributing recipes to this. I'm not sure exactly what, if she was just borrowing recipes or sharing recipes or what. So I am almost weeping by the time I get to this. And then I get to chicken salad. This is page 93, chicken salad. Soak 1 teaspoon gelatin in 3/4 tablespoons of cold water. Add 3/4 cup cold water and 2 cups diced cold chicken. 1 bottle of olives, 1 cup of chopped celery, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, salt, dash of pepper. Pour over cranberry jelly and cover with a second layer. I'm super confused by that recipe, and I hope she didn't make it. That sounds gross. All right, so then we get to the next page. So if you did not see this from last week, you need to go back and watch, but I'm just saying, the story is in here, and it's about lime jello in a salad. Okay, so imagine my shock, my horror. This is it. In this book, Springtime Salad, here we go. 1 package lime gelatin, boiling water, pineapple juice, crushed pineapple, 1 cup chopped cabbage. We've got celery in this time instead of radishes. 2 tablespoons of chopped pimentos, sugar, a tablespoon of vinegar. Ugh. Yeah, so this says you can also cover this with whipped cream or sour cream. You can also use lemon and pears, orange. So she's got these different ways you can make this. But I don't know. How did this recipe get everywhere? How did it disseminate across the land that it was in the small town of Sarban, Nebraska, which is like a spot in the road? Ella Mae Tucker's springtime salad and my grandmother's springtime salad are essentially the same thing. Were we making this back then? Honestly, I mean, I'm glad we've gone past that, and hopefully we have, because I don't think we should have cabbage and lime jello together, or lettuce and lime jello, or radishes or pimentos in anything that is in a jello based anything. So very traumatized by this, very troubled by this. At the same time, very grateful that I got to have my grandmother's recipes. And I think I'm gonna have to just start making some of these. I'll have to make some of them. I'll have to start putting some of these together and sharing them with you to see how they come out and how her recipes differ from some of the ones that I have now. I use a lot of Ina Garten and Pioneer Woman, Sally's Baking Addiction. I'm trying to think of some of the other sites that I use a lot of recipes from. And what a treasure to have all of these old recipe books that were tucked in my grandma's kitchen. So thank you to all of you who are following along. It was really fun to be at my class reunion back in North Platte this weekend and have so many people say that they look forward to Mondays at the Mystical Magical Mansion. And I do as well. I really do love doing this and sharing our home and our life and our story with you and my family. So thank you for being part of this journey. It's constantly evolving and changing, and I never know from week to week what I'm going to be talking about. So it's just sort of as life is unfolding. So thank you for following along. And as always, get out your good dishes, get out your china, your silverware, your stuff. Use it every day. Don't keep things back for nice, because you just never know. And as I looked at our yearbook and all the things that I saw this weekend, it really reaffirmed my commitment to using my good stuff. You just never know. Life offers us challenges and gifts, and I think we should never have to take those gifts and stuff them in a closet and wait for something special. Make every day special, because you know what? Being unapologetically fancy is actually very popular right now. It's a movement. It's what we're doing. So you need to get on that train with me. So make sure that you stay unapologetically fancy, my friends. And I will see you next week at the Mystical Magical Mansion.